But it can be done with a hook punch, right? So what would be a slash? It's a hook punch. He does the hook punch, there's a couple things you can do. Do sternum, elbow right away, bam, right across. But if you do this, that's terrible. Triangle. Don't do this. Stop. Stop. Go. Just bang. So, same thing. What is it thrust? It's a step through punch. Because if he doesn't step through, actually, well, he's doesn't reach. So he's got to step through. Now, let's say, grab a knife. Let's say he's fast enough. He doesn't blink. Okay, he does the slash. I come across him and he blocks. Again, what's the natural defense? No, let him. Don't fight him. Let him. He's doing you a favor. Not only that, his hands occupied, so you don't have to worry about moving. Okay? So he's doing you a favor. So let's do this for a few minutes. We don't want to touch trapping hands because trapping is very important. So you guys done it? So we're kind of just going to go through it. Time flies when you have fun. So let's do this one more time. Seat on. Don't forget that seat. Very important. Back for some blocks. Pushes him. See, look how his arms cross. No. Okay? All right, so get a partner. Be careful. Don't tweak it. It hurts. Oh, sorry. And the whole principle in self-defense
I got you covered. I got you covered. Go ahead. Right, whether he grabs or if it's straight, I can't get behind it. It's got to be. Once it's bent, I can step behind him nice and easy. Right, let it bend, let it bend. Now step behind you, get left. Everybody face one. There you go. Yep. The object with the drive and the turn is to get him to do this. Yep. You want him completely off balance. Oh,
figured it out. So that's what it does.
In my head, I was like,
I am the Managing Director of the USA Martial Arts Hall of Fame Alliance, and I am the National Director for the Senbach Unified Fight Federation. So, if you're here for my seminar, you're in the right place. If you're not, then you're not in the right place.
You're still in the right place.
We'll set that stuff up over here. You guys, how about have a seat for a little bit? I'm going to do a little bit of talking and some of that stuff. Then, I'm sorry. Maybe else for Alan for?
I want to learn. I did a little bit.
this is oh,
Mario. Mario loves doing that.
Okay, whenever I do one of these seminars, I'm really not sure exactly what kind of people I'm going to get to come to the seminar, as far as whether they're going to be really high-ranking people, really low-ranking people, and everything. Normally, I get brought up a lot to do ranking seminars. You know, I'm supposed to be pretty decent at it, so I'm going to do a little bit of breaking for you guys. But I wanted to talk a lot to the black belts about when you guys go to tournaments, when you guys start seeing breaking getting done. It seems like every time I'm going out to tournaments, there's this whole dynamic that's kind of either lost or misplaced in the whole breaking world. It's easy enough to judge sparring. Sparring is almost like a game of tag. It's whoever gets there first. You know, that's usually what I start all my guys on judging, is sparring. You know, and this guy hit before this guy hit. Kata that's oftentimes a matter of opinion. It's a matter of, you know, if you've got really good black belts that are watching it, you know, hopefully the black belts who've been around for a long time, they are familiar with Korean forms, Japanese forms, Okinawan forms, Open forms. They get more and more familiar. It seems like the longer that somebody spends with that stuff, the better judges they end up with overall. Breaking, though, it seems like I keep on coming back to tournament after tournament. I've gone to tons of tournaments that had breaking, and again, that's like a lost dynamic. When it comes to breaking, if you have two different people come up and break, say, 5 boards or 5 blocks, all right, then how do you decide which one's the better breaker? And that's a question that oftentimes, you know, kind of gets lost. You know, somebody might say, well, this guy's got more attitude. You know, that's fine. You know, that's a matter of opinion. But when it gets to something really broadly, you know, blown out of proportion, if we have somebody like Joe over here that breaks, and somebody like this young man over here that comes over, what's your name, sir? Zach. Zach, do you break? You don't do breaking? Well, how about if you stand up for a second, Zach? Just stand. That's okay. Joe, how about you stand up? Now let's say Joe over here comes out and breaks 5 blocks, and Zach comes out and breaks 5 blocks. Which one do you guys think wins the competition?
Zach.
You'd think that that was not rocket science, but in all honesty, I go to tournaments tons of times, and that's not the case. Especially when Zach over here breaks 4 blocks and Joe breaks 5 blocks. Pound for pound, Zach hands down beat Joe. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Hands down, right? But again, I end up talking to instructors, I end up talking to judges all the time, all over the place, that just say, well, wait a second. This guy over here, he only broke 4. This guy over here, he broke 5. He's got to win. I'm totally against that. So I'm going to talk to you guys about different types of breaking for a couple minutes. There are essentially five different types of breaking when you're dealing with any type of competition or when you're doing breaking. And you can break down every single type of breaking into these 5 categories. You have power breaking, which is probably the thing that most people are used to seeing. Power breaking is what you see on TV where people stack up the blocks, break 5 blocks, 10 blocks, whatever. After 30, 31 years in martial arts, not being, too pompous about it, that doesn't impress me very much anymore, because you just have somebody that turns around and turns their body into a battering ram and smashes stuff. So again, pound for pound, the bigger guy is always going to win. We got our orthopedic celebrity. So pound for pound, the bigger guy is always going to win. Almost all the time. You can have superior conditioning, and that's kind of that little wiggle room. Not much, but a little bit of wiggle room. So that's power breaking. And again, that's kind of one of the easiest things to break down judgment. Next, you have technique breaking. Technique breaking, I think, is probably one of the neater things to judge, because what you're doing is you take someone who's doing some type of break, and you try to only use technique, not muscle, not a lot of power. You try and take out as much of that as you can. I'm going to do a little demonstration of a technique break a little bit later. Next, you have speed breaking. Speed breaking is probably another one of the more impressive things that I've ever seen done. That's where you have somebody who holds a board, and while they're holding the board, they punch the board and they break the board. That's pretty neat, because the board's not really being held by anything. The next evolution of a speed break is if somebody takes an eye hook and screws the eye hook into the board and hangs the board, say a string or a little rope, and then they break the board. Because there's not really a whole lot of resistance. When a person breaks that board, they're really, all they have is the air resistance. The next evolution of the speed break is somebody who takes a board, tosses it in the air, and can break the board. So, these things are what I think are some of the finer points of break. You have, like I said, speed breaks. That's that next generation or that next evolution in breaking. So you have power breaking, speed breaking, technique breaking. Then you have dynamic breaking. Dynamic breaking is, earlier today I saw a situational self-defense class. That was really awesome. What I like to do with a lot of my more advanced students is I'll have a scenario set, like a self-defense scenario. And we'll bring out some boards, blocks, whatever, and we'll have something set up where we have 2 or 3 attackers, and we'll go through a self-defense routine. And you might say, okay, well, I'm going to stomp on this guy's foot, I'm going to elbow this guy, and I'm going to punch this guy. Now, you have a couple guys holding their boards or holding the blocks, and you come out and you start doing the breaks. So now you can actually see how much power it is that the person can produce. This is more along the lines of, again, what I call dynamic breaking, because you can see the application. Backtrack a little bit here, and when we talk about the, why do people break? And I've had instructors that have the idea of, well, boards don't hit back, and bricks don't hit back, so there's no point. But my argument is, you don't hit your training partner as hard as you can, do you? Grandmaster Les, you don't hit your training partners as hard as you can, do you? Yeah. Okay. So you don't hit your training partners as hard as you can, right? No. So if you're not allowed to hit your training partners as hard as you can, how is it that you're ever going to know how hard you can hit things? You guys can hit the pads, you guys can hit the bags, but again, that's the development of your power. You're not really sure how hard you're hitting. And I've been in this situation before when I went out on the street, and when I first went out on the street, oh geez, you know, how hard do I really hit? When I did get into a fight, when I did get into a situation where I had to use this stuff, you know, that's a good gauge to say, I can hit this hard. More importantly, when you get up to the higher ranks, like black belts, some of the black belts don't realize how much power they're really putting out. So you've got a black belt over here who all of a sudden they go out and they're dealing with an actual situation where they have to use their self-defense and they hit somebody and now the person's got some type of permanent damage. So I like to kind of, you know, I like to field that by starting people breaking about green belt level, about intermediate rank level. So now all of a sudden they have an idea, oh, this is how much power I put out, so I really should be careful if I ever hit somebody. And you know, with kids and things like that, you have kids doing great. My idea with kids doing breaking is, you know, mom and dad come over and they say, oh, we want to practice self-defense for kids. The kid broke my nose, or the kid stomped my foot, hurt my, you know, broke a couple of my toes. And I've had that happen. So if the kid realizes, hey, if I stomp through 3 boards, or if I stomp through this, or if I hit this, I really don't want to be stomping on mom's toes. You know, that would be a bad day for everybody. You know, I don't, you know, that would just be a bad time. So I tend to teach my kids how to do that kind of breaking. So we have power breaking, we have technique breaking, we have speed breaking, we have dynamic breaking. The last one is trick breaking. Trick breaking is that's one of these things where you see the parlor tricks with breaking, where people break 1,000 pounds of ice. I can teach anybody here to break 1,000 pounds of ice. I can teach this young lady right here to break 1,000 pounds of ice tomorrow. It's a trick, you know. There's a bunch of different, a bunch of little trick breaks that we can teach, and they're fun for demonstrations. They're fun to go out into a group just to get that wow factor, but it's not real breaking, you know. And I can have that argument with people for forever with that stuff, but I don't get into the trick breaking either. So again, for competition's sake, I talk to people about, I talk to the judges about, like, well, what consists of, you know, the breaks that we're watching, today, tomorrow, whatever. You see oftentimes at tournaments, you have kids coming in with these plain down boards. They're like really thin. Again, you know, you have these people breaking. Well, that kid broke 3 boards. They were only about half as thick as the 2 boards that this guy broke. You know, but it's 3 boards. Yeah, but again, I wouldn't think that's rocket science, but it turns into rocket science. The next thing is, and I was going to illustrate this by bringing a whole bunch of different boards and everything, but you know, time and so on and so forth. And again, I wasn't sure exactly how many people I'd be dealing with and what ranks everybody would be. You have people breaking 6-inch boards, 8-inch boards, 10-inch boards, 12-inch boards. These are all 12-inch boards for the sake of discussion. This is the standard as to what most people break in tournaments, or what most people should be breaking at tests. If you've got people breaking less, whatever, then that's fine. Again, this is the standard to my knowledge. You know, there are exceptions again as to the types of boards and things like that people break. A while back, I actually went to a couple tournaments, and I had some discussions with some people about the standards as far as breaking went, and you know, people who know me know sometimes I get a little bit out of hand with like some of these discussions. But you know, all boards are not created equal. So when you have somebody doing breaking, when somebody's doing breaking, you can change the dynamics of the breaks. If somebody stands up and smashes, there's a power break. If you start breaking that down, the structure down for somebody doing breaking, I'm a lot more impressed as a judge if, again, you see this guy over here break a board or a block or whatever, standing up and smashing. But then what happens if you take that same person and say, well, he's going to do it sitting down? Does that get a little more impressive? Because now we've cut that person's body in half. Okay? Now, what if we have a person move further away? Okay, again, if your center of gravity is right in front of the thing that you're braking, it's a lot easier to brake. Can we all agree on that? Okay, now I've got my center of gravity. I might not have my lower body, but I still have my center of gravity. So, if I have somebody who's braking, and that person has offset themselves, the brake gets harder, correct? Okay, well now, if all of a sudden I maybe brake that roll a little bit more and have that person come into an awkward position and brake, then that's kind of a little bit more impressive, right? So, you know, again, these are little dynamics that kind of change braking and change the rules of braking. Again, all boards are not created equal. All blocks aren't created equal. You have different materials. So this is an oak stair tread. Anybody who wants to feel an oak stair tread or whatever. These are the things that go into houses, modern houses. They're supposed to withstand a century of use. Again, those strikes change the dynamics of the brake as well. An oak stair tread is not an easy thing to brake by any standards. Not all the materials are the same. Again, when you get into something like coconuts, you know, a coconut is a lot harder to brake because, well, geez, it's not flat. Oh, towels. I use towels on these things because, believe it or not, the husks are kind of sharp when they break. Anybody have a towel? All right. Again, the coconuts that they do have a sharp husk. So if you guys end up deciding to break coconuts, oh, go ahead.
I just want to add that it takes 1,650 psi to break the coconut. It takes 1,575 psi to crack a human skull. So think about that.
And again, if you do that while you're sitting down, you know, you don't get the benefits of using your entire body. Thank you very much for the Mr. Wizard moment. So, you know, and when somebody does that, like, you know, oh, he doesn't just do it once, he doesn't just do it twice, he can do it like every day, he can do it all the time, do it from seated position, do it turn sideways. You know, I think those things are a little bit more impressive. Now, thank you very much.
It's good for you.
Now again, the striking changes as well. So you see people braking with different strikes. So, you know, you can see people with their shoe toes, you can see people with back fists, you can see people with hammer fists. Again, you know, we've got people who brake with all different types of strikes, you know. Token, carpet. All the things that you guys brake on as well changes the dynamic of the brakes. If you have somebody braking on carpet versus somebody braking on hardwood versus somebody braking on concrete, all these things change the dynamic of the brake. So these are all different things that affect what it is that you're braking with. All right. Braking with the thumb, you know. I am a huge advocate against having somebody hold the braking. Huge. The reason being because if somebody moves, you can really short sell the person who's doing the braking. And you know, as soon as you move, the brake is lost and is kind of worthless. So if you move, I'm in a lot of trouble. A lot of trouble. One of the other brakes I really like I said, there's all different types of brakes. There's hard style brakes, power brakes, speed brakes, technique brakes. When dealing with the technique brake, we also have hard style, soft style. All these things are hard style, soft style techniques. You have somebody who again, you start breaking the rules of braking, where somebody says, okay, well, I'm going to brake, but I'm going to just brake with my fingertip or with my finger. Okay, this is a little bit more difficult. So. Again, these things are the things that change dynamics of braking. These are the things that change the rules of braking. A lot of it has to do with your conditioning, your speed, your power, doing those basics over and over and over and over again. This finger whip thing, that took a lot of time, so don't go out and do that. I lost my hand over it once upon a time. All these things kind of change the dynamics of braking. And again, if you guys I actually teach some dynamics braking as well. I'll get into that either later or in one of the other seminars, where I actually explain the application here. He's got the toughest finger on the planet. What is that? I'll show you the dynamics braking. But this one, I guess, kind of goes with the technique brake. I leave these in the wrap this way. Everybody knows they weren't, changed or altered or explored. Actually, I should have had you guys examine the boards and the coconuts as well. So, again, all these things kind of change the dynamics of braking and change the rules as to what it is that we're seeing in braking. Again, when I'm speaking to the black belts mainly here, I'm hoping that when you guys go to tournaments, you guys have this same mentality that when I'm watching pieces of braking, I understand, oh, I need to take it. When you guys are watching, pieces of braking, I hope you guys take either a fresh look at it, or you guys are the exceptions. So you guys are actually, educating other black belts, other masters, what the way that braking actually works. Now, when you guys see people wrap their hands when they're braking, generally speaking, they're cheating. So I guess I'm cheating if I was doing power braking. Because when you wrap your hands when you're braking, what are you doing with your bones? What's that? You're stabilizing. So in other words, you're actually making those bones into a really fun. No, I'm stabilize my phone. That doesn't really matter. So again, if you guys see somebody come out to do braking, and if they have their hands wrapped and everything, and if you got somebody who's wrapping their hands when they're breaking a whole bunch of blocks and everything, then in general that person is in shape. They're stabilized, they're bones, versus the guy who does. So you see one guy A goes out and breaks 8 or 10 blocks without his hands wrapped. Guy B has his hands, his wrists, everything else wrapped. Who did a better job? You know, the guy who is not the same. This is a century bow. It's supposed to, the ad says that it's supposed to withstand years and years, something like that. I was doing a form with this some years ago, and you know, as I was doing forms, I was looking at the forms, and it came down and stopped below. And once upon a time, it broke. There had to be on it. It was kind of old. So I ordered a new one. Both broke. I got another board. I got another bow, another bow. I started raising bows a lot. I thought that was kind of impressive. And then I went to farming, and I guess a bunch of other people found it impressive. So yeah, I started doing it. And again, when you're dealing with something that's, I'm sorry.
Can you sign it later?
Yeah, I did that. So, when you deal with something like that goes over and over and over and over again, then a person who can break coconuts, you know, from different angles, a person who can break bows just by swinging. I broke white waxwood, broken rattan, broken these things, but you know, I think that's kind of impressive. There's a velocity. Yes, sir. No, I didn't have money that. But I got something for most of that. Sometimes I place bets with people, you know, practice things. You can do it all the time. So I get like anyhow, these are the things that change the dynamics of breaking. These are kind of like the rules that we kind of go with when we're breaking boards and blocks and things like that. I didn't bring cabinet blocks and everything. They're all wet. They're ready to go. So I got some really great power breakers. Just turn your body to the pattern around. Since Amy over here, she's fantastic at power breaking, and you know, having power breaking is more interesting than seeing this beefcake come out and do power breaking. But anyhow, like I said, I want to talk to you guys about breakings. The conditioning goes with the breaking. I did a lot of makiwara work. I did a lot of kimi bag. I did a lot of that over the years. And again, when I started going to tournaments, I've seen a decline in the ability of breaking. And I've seen a great decline in, I guess, just the idea of that aspect of the martial arts. I heard Kathy Long's seminar a little while ago. She was talking about holes in our repertoire. Holes in our repertoire. I see the martial arts as a table. If you have a table that's got one leg on it, then that table is going to be kind of hissy. Okay? Yeah, Grandmaster Les out here. He does a lot of night work. He does a lot of Sandicon. Great guy to have come out and to work that nice stuff. You know, when you guys have the opportunity to fill in the holes in your repertoire, if you're honest with yourself and say, you know what, I need ground fighting. Find yourself a good ground fighter. When you're honest with yourself and you say, you know what, I need knife fighting. Find yourself a good knife fighter. When you're honest with yourself and you say, you know what, we don't do no breaking. Well, boards don't hit back first, don't hit. You're not allowed to keep your training as hard as you can. And don't
Ken McKenzie is up next.
I'm not going to have to hit somebody hard. I do American Kempo. American Kempo is based off of ballistic hand speed. Okay, that's one of my arts that I do. My root art was karate. That was my root. So I like the ballistic hand speed of Kempo, but nothing feels better than the idea of that one strike certain death. And karate can say, hey, I can break all this stuff, and that's how much power it is that I'm putting out. That gives you that sense of ease, that gives you that sense of finality if you do go into a conflict where you say, if I do hit somebody, I know that I can end it in a conflict. So at this point, I'll open up to some questions and things like that. If you guys want to talk about conditioning, if you guys want to talk about the way that any of these breaks are done, or run for extra O staircase. Again, don't come up with like, oh, I've never done breaking. I think I'm trying to break an O stair trade. That's just not too break. But if you're somebody who breaks and you're like, hey, I never thought of doing an O stair trade, try it. It's here. They're pretty neat. They're pretty dense. So, anybody have any questions? Questions on conditioning? Questions? Yes, sir.
I noticed when you break the
Thank you so much. I see breaking. I go to the tournaments. You see these guys go. Joe, come on over, everybody. When was the last time anyone here ever got into a fight in Oz, Disney World, or something like that, where you could go 1, 2, 3. I don't do that. I don't let my students do that. Anybody who breaks, thank you, sir. Anybody who breaks, it's just do it. That's the way I see breaking. So again, you have two people come up in a breaking competition, and you got one guy who stands there and goes, and you got the other guy who sets everything up. I'm going to go over here. I'm going to break this. Bang! He goes over and breaks it. Which one's the winner? In reality, when you actually have to hit somebody, or when you actually have to hit something, if you have to stop them, the only thing I ever do that one with is the finger whip. I kind of do that for the holder, So. I generate a lot more power if I push out. I don't need to. And again, I'm not being, I'm trying not to be arrogant or anything. But after 30-something years of doing this, when I do say I'm going to hit something as hard as I can, I did power breaking when I was second-degree black belt a long time ago. I broke 10 capping blocks, and my sensei said, you're limping. And I was like, this is the next day. And I was like, no, I'm not. Then I went home, and my dad was like, so you're limping. I'm not. I went someplace else. Somebody said, you're limping. Then I started getting sore. And then I ended up going, somebody said, you should need to go to this chiropractor. They can fix it. The soreness didn't go away. Went to the chiropractor, my pelvis was out. My pelvis was out, the back was all out, my neck was out. Your body is mostly made out of water. So this is why, again, power breaking is neat to see. I don't really get into it because you turn your body into a big battery ram. Things like that kind of impress me a lot more because, well, how much power do you put? You should see him when he actually hits something that he wants to hurt. That's a lot of power. The power that I put in there, I don't hit anything any harder than like 20% as hard as that's the way I do things. I came out here today, I just wanted to give a demonstration. I didn't stack up at 10 blocks, I didn't stack up at 24. My better half over there, she weighs 110 pounds open weight. So when I start teaching her striking, when I have taught her striking, if we're instructors and we're supposed to be teaching people, not everybody's going to be 220 pounds, 250 pounds, 230 pounds. Not everybody's going to be that. So when you can teach somebody who's 110 pounds to strike like that, yeah, she might have to put out some more effort, but you realize how much power it takes. Grandmaster Les was talking about how many pounds of pressure to break coconuts. 1,600 pounds of pressure to break a coconut. And I can teach somebody that's 110 pounds, and I'm sitting down. So I'm telling myself now, maybe she has to do it standing down. I said 110, and maybe she has to try. But I have to teach somebody who's 110 pounds to put out that same amount of force. And if you can break a coconut, you damage to the skull. So, how do I generate power? I had a lot of Chinese influence that taught about Fajing, and Fajing is that internal shape. The best way that it was ever described to me was think about modeling a sneeze, and you know that internal, that little thing that goes on right here, that I could get into for a long time. That's a whole different topic when we start talking about internal and external energy. So, any other questions about it?
I have a question.
Sure.
A while back, I was a long time ago, I was working on a movie. You mentioned wrapping it up. Called, add structure to the film. I was working on a film called What Was the City. They gave me a styrofoam cinema out of ego. I said, I remember martial arts. They had a lot of dancers. I can break a real one. So the director had me wrap up my hand, which I never did. So I went through it. I mean, this shattered. All of this. I said, my hands were off. Now wrapping it up, what made the dynamics change?
When you wrap it, you
It was an
actually,
ace band that jaws.
yeah, when you wrap it, you actually maybe put too much tension on it. Too much tension on it. You move the bones in your hand out of alignment, and the bones came out of alignment, then which again, for the whole lot. But I like when the doctor's validates what they're saying. Yes.
What's your take on the bat of the shin?
The bat of the shin is conditioning. That's conditioning. There is a little bit of a trick to it because of the grain of the bat, but it's conditioning. I've seen that break. It's an impressive break. It's definitely a dynamic break. And, you know, the application of that is, you know, if somebody's kicking it, you do it in Yashi's or the leg block. Sorry, I was just warning one of my patrons to stay away from vernacular. So, yeah, the leg block, the leg check. So, when somebody's sparring with you or somebody's fighting with you, they go and hit you or so on and so forth, and block your leg. That conditioning sets you up to be able to block that and get that version. The bad side of that is the amount of conditioning you have to do to your shins. You're almost guaranteeing yourself to be crippled. So, I started to do a little machine conditioning, and one of my instructors said, you know why you're seeing old Muay Thai fighters walking around? These are all questions, comments, thoughts? Like I said, Makiwara work, again, and not hurt feelings or anything, a lot of people don't do traditional karate anymore, okay? And, you know, not to say anything like that about it. I've got one Makiwara board in my school. A traditional school should have 9 Makiwara. So this way you can work on different levels. So this way, every time, you know, as you're going, the Makiwara board should get harder and harder and harder, and you develop more and more and more. So again, if people are, oh, I do really traditional karate, you do martial art. You do Makiwara. And there's no problem with that because tradition evolves. You know, what I use for my school is for ancient tradition. We do have some conditioning, but it's taken back to and you know, so I work with the guys out there doing shoots on that. That's what it's all about. The breaking for me is again the finality to say if I hit someone, this is the amount of force. But I cannot say enough. Conditioning has to be it can take a little bit of the backseat, but it has to be part of the training. You need to do the kimi bags. You need to do the Makiwara board. You need to, you know, not just hit a bag or anything else. You need to do the knife self-defense. So if you're active, we're doing a knife seminar in the next round. All these young guys walking around with that's on their faces and everything. It's a part of our society. So we have to bring it to our dojos. If we don't have it in our dojos, approach somebody like somebody like Grandmaster Les and say, hey, let's get you into the spirit. You don't do breaking. I do breaking seminars all the time. People want to come and do a breaking seminar. That's perfectly fine. The application to it is huge. If you do kickboxing, if you do something like that, you know, how many times do you want to hit somebody in a kickboxing match? As few times as I have, right? So, again, questions, comments, thoughts? Anybody want to break a closed square thread? You never broke before. Again, that's it's more brittle. Oh, yeah. There's a trick to it. If you bake the one brick, you know, the thing from Bloodsport, where you must break one brick or second brick or whatever. You bake that one brick, take all the sugar out and all the other shred. Sorry, explode. The other trick is don't do this. You go to a tournament, and if I'm there, and hopefully now if everybody else is there, when you go to a tournament and some goof is setting stuff up, or you see them like reaching around, when somebody sets something up, go over, you're a judge, it's your job to go over your judgment. Go over. If you see something that's got a score mark in it, disqualify. You know, I mean, if I walk into your ring to do sparring, and if I've got a roll of quarters in my hand, you know, hey, what's going on? You know, what, I can't fight? You're a goober. Feed it. You know. So yeah, there's a conflict. And you know, again, they're kind of neat to like, oh, if you go to do a demonstration or something like that, and you want to do something, that's fine. You know, that's the magic and everything else, or sleight of hand. But I'm a lot more impressed when you come out and they do these kinds of breaks. I've got a student who breaks against the ring. It's freaking insane. He's busy today. So, no, he's in college. He's in his last semester. So, but that's pretty neat when you see somebody come out and say, "I'm going to break against the grain." That's pretty cool. Any other questions? You said you don't really do it. I mean, not really. It's like not really being pregnant. Not really being that. That's more than enough, dude. That's really a trick. So, words blocked. That's good. Again, when you guys are teaching breaking, and if you guys bring that into your schools, the younger guys, they don't need to be breaking. Bricks, blocks, oak stair treads, coconuts, and stuff like that. Words are good. Okay. I don't have any really little kids that I would want to break. You know, that's a good age to start breaking. You know, as far as it ranks in tail breaking, be careful. You know, be very good. Never have kids do monkey bar work. Never have kids do skinny back work. Okay. Chinese medicine point of view, the vibrations. Again, most people are mostly made out of water. Somebody, I was just plugging your center. Plugging your center. When you guys see people with a bikini bag, the human body is made out of mostly water. So when you hit, there's vibration that goes back through your body, and that vibration as it goes back through your body kind of messes up your pressure in your acupuncture points, things like that. And the growth plates on kids, calcium deposits. So I do not advocate contour work for bikini bag work. At least 16, sometimes older for young ladies have to watch out for bikini bag work and Chinese martial arts standpoint. Those vibrations that go through your bodies kind of mess with their early parts. So, any other questions, comments, queries, thoughts? Sir?
I've seen people break, like bust the bottom of the bottle open. I mean,
Yes, trick break.
what's that?
Trick break. The air pressure and the bottom of the bottle is actually a weaker spot on the bottle, so that's to pull out every time. It still takes skill, but there's the trick involved. Now, breaking the neck off of the beer bottle, make sure you do that sober. There's a whole story that goes to that.
He's gonna come up and try to.
The oak sticker? Sure. Sir?
Did you say something to your board or against
I'm absolutely, positively, 100% against breaking anything with your head. That's like throwing your computer against the wall and hoping that it's going to work. Sooner or later, you might get lucky the first couple times, but sooner or later, it's going to be a bad day. Another question? I saw somebody's hand. Sir.
Coca-Cola can.
Grandmaster Trower. Yeah, good buddy of mine. Yeah. Trick break, but there's a lot of technique that goes with it.
Serious conditioning.
Yeah, serious conditioning. There's a way the way that he does it, where he just slams his finger through. That is technique. The trick is when you take the Coke can and you just kind of drag your fingernail up and down a couple times, put a little score, and push your finger through. That's the trick. The bigger trick is not pulling your finger out and slicing your finger open. So, yeah. Grandmaster Trower. Check him out on YouTube.
He's very good.
He's awesome. Actually, he judged me breaking one of the last times I went breaking, and I got some really, really great compliments. I was very pleased. Very. Took a lot of time to talk. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
It kind of sounds like some questions from chain rings. Are they
No. Like I said, I'm absolutely positively against head brakes. It's like they keep running against the wall. It's going to work. First couple of times, maybe. You got lucky. Sooner or later, it's not going to work. There's actually a guy from the area that I grew up in. He used to do head brakes, and he's like a Johnny 2 times. Everything he says twice. Everything he says twice. He kind of moves a lot now. Kind of has a little shuffle to it. But I don't know what he was like before, but I know that he did head brakes a lot, and I have to say that's not a good idea. So I do not let anybody do head brakes. If somebody comes to the corner and say, "Oh, let's do head brakes," then you can't allow them. So again, as black belts, and those of you guys who aren't black belts, your job is safety. To anybody who comes to compete in your ring. If you've got somebody who says, "Hey, I want to break this with my head," my sensei says it's cool. Well, then do it in your dojo. You're not doing that here. If you're the head judge, you got some pretty decent rank on you. You're the head judge. Somebody says, "I want to break this with my head." Why would you let somebody do that? If their instructor doesn't want them, or if their instructor does let them do that, then that's in his backyard. This person stepped in your ring. That's your backyard. No. And if I get kicked out of the ring for that, that's okay. I've never been kicked out of the ring. With the bow staff, the bow staff did break in 2 pieces. If anybody did notice that, the bow staff broke in 2 pieces. That's some velocity. An object in motion will tend to stay in motion. So, that's business. Yes. Anybody else? Questions, thoughts? Yes.
With conditioning, with braking the boards and such, I know a while ago you spoke about being able to put out a candle.
Yes, putting out a candle is a huge thing. There's a bunch of different training techniques, and like I said, I usually come out to schools and I do a lot of braking seminars and things like that. There's a bunch of different learning techniques that you can do. I was talking to one of these guys before. He was telling me about he was talking about when he first learned how to brake, it was you put a board in a pail of water and hit the board, and the water displacement. The idea is to try and break the board without the water just splashing. The board gets splashed all the time. The board will go this way and that way and everything else. The idea is to try and break that. The idea of putting out the candle. You start off, you try and put the candle out close, and then you go further away. Then you change hand postures. And the different hand postures that you guys use to break, like I said, your hand is like a little Mr. Potato Head. Stealing like some of Les's vernacular. It's like Mr. Potato Head. So the amount of power that I put out is always going to be the same for my body. All right, depending on my training, my conditioning, my skill level. The things that I can change is I can change my hand posture. So if I change my hand posture, if I put 200 pounds of supercell with my fist, flat fist, if I change the 2 numbers, I've increased my force by cut the striking area in half, right? Now, if I drop it down to 1 number, my focus point has become a lot tighter. So I've actually exponentially increased my striking area. Because now it's not flat, I'm only going down to 1 point. The smaller the striking area, the greater the force. Now, if I change that hand posture to a spear hand, to a single-bladed grasp, to a keep-on moving head, depending on the style of the guitar, then I also change the dynamic of the striking, the amount of force that I'm putting out. The thing that you need is condition and fingers. So, well, how hard can you knead with 1 finger? You just watch it break more than this thing. Sir. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, when people have to come out, it's up to you whether you want me to bring materials out, depending on how far I have to travel, or if you get the materials, and it'll depend as to the level of the facility.
Meeting to showcase what people similar with other groups, which is cross training, camaraderie, friendship, and networking. And I get to go first. So I'm going to basically show you. Okay, after I'm done beating on them, you can sit down where you. After I'm done beating on one of my favorite movies, and another member of the No Cup Club. That's a standing joke. Okay, basically, if you look at the average martial arts blocking technique, okay, Sensei Rob is going to give you a better punch, and I'm going to stand up. And what does that do for me? That we're now both in each other's zone. With Chukwu Kempo, when he punches, I go here. And I'm no longer in the zone. Okay, but what's the hardest thing? You can ask Sensei Dave. What's the hardest thing about doing that technique, Dave? Because, okay, the man is punching. I'm going here. 1, 2. And then I go down. Lock that. Bring that behind you. How are you pressing your body? Oh, how am I not? Now, when you actually do it, you smile. That's when you actually do it, and he does it. Okay, I'm going to go 1, 1. Look where I'm at. 2, I'm trapping. 3. And this is not a push. I'm going to hit his shoulder with this. You watch it. And listen to the sound. I'm going to here. It's not going to. Now you can imagine. Did anybody like to hit in the face with that? Okay, I'd really like to have a ball. Sure. I would really want to hit some. You would do that, right?
Yes, Sensei.
This is Gerhard Bell, for you that don't know. He's a very well-known sculptor and stained glass person. Has work in the Vatican and Smithsonian. So okay, we'll try that again. So here's what I'm doing. Stepping here, covering my face. But I'm not going to stay here because what are we? We're still in the same zone. I'm going to come here. I'm going to hit it, give me a little time. Then I'm going to do is push. Okay. So one more time. So 1, 2. It doesn't take. Don't fall down. Stay. It doesn't take much, and you can all do this. You have to be strong. The secret in this technique, 1, 2, is don't be here. What happens? That's the end of my reach. We'll do it a little faster. Do it a little faster. He's attacking again. It's time to do a press block. I like press blocks. Now, no matter how fast you are, you can only go so fast when you're in force. So if he's coming here, I go here, and I go to my back. What you want to do is he punches, push, push, really hard. And then my go-to technique, Junior Ushuki, you teach me perfect how to do Ushuki, right? Our block. You don't just take it there when you do here. And then here, you hit let the elbow hit first. Put a shadow in the elbow. You don't really have to do this. You just put it in line. And then Rob's favorite technique. See how it molds. Okay, so here's what you're doing. Going out of the way, out of the zone, and then you start moving in. So as he hits, it's going to continue to move. And then you jiu-jitsu people, that or sweeps, whatever you like. Okay. So the whole difference is, I'm not going to go punch. I'm not going to stand and fight body to body. I want to go and. Okay. The ear strike. Same thing. It's not this. It's. Now you can bang your head and hit that. Hit it and pull it back. Okay. Then if there's anything left to help you, you've got a real problem. Step this way, turn away. So does everybody understand? If your principle is you don't want to fight here. It's the same technique, it looks right. What's the difference? Where's his right hand? I've got to worry about that. And then I'm tied up so much as him. So if I would come here, and you know, you kick, oh sorry, you kick the door from behind, most people don't realize except for Dave. Okay? So the principle is to evade, not fight. Now there's no doubt Dave is not that much bigger than I am. Rob, of course, is. So when I stand here, as he blocks, what do? I let him hit me. I don't fight him. I let him push me. Okay. And if you don't want to hurt him too bad, just reach here. That's not too bad. That feels good, right? Okay, what can I do from there? Drive the knees and approach. Okay, so your whole idea is not to fight body to body. Excuse me? Oh, you gave me class? I like a cat sense. So, Dave's punching right, block, and you want to kick from here. What do? You don't have to let him stand there. You pull it down. So you hear it going, one, and the same technique again, up through here. And then you should stay towards the head. Okay. So your whole, but most of the shoot-through techniques that spell with a C, not an S. When they punch, you go away and fight through here. Now, if I stand here back the same thing, all I have to do is turn, and I'm going to separate, okay? So what do you want to do? You want to go, if you're one, you hit this part here, the body has to turn. 2, 3, 4. Remember, we all have a life to live. So we would like to spend 100 hours a week practicing martial arts, right? Most of us. Some of us. So you have to make your techniques very similar. If you can get, I think the average karate person, what is it?
2 days a week.
How many hours a week?
2 hours a week, 2 days. The average karate person in the United States.
So I'm fortunate I practice about 17 to 20 hours a week. So punching it. So going 1. Now I'm hitting here and going into a side fence, pushing it. Chain with my reach hand. I teach beginners to do it this way, it's easier, but after a while, I mean, and snap it right into the ribs. Bounce off here into the head. See where he's turned? And kick it out. Okay. So we're here, we punch back, right? And that's the whole technique. Okay, you've already seen some of the katas that we do, so I'm not going to demonstrate them. Dave is now going to show one guy his first kata, which is passive 1, and who's going to do remember, a kata without practical application, which is bunkai, what a technique in a kata is pointless. And if, you know, you can adapt and say, well, this is that, that's this. Look at it. If it doesn't work, kind of back up with it. There was a, you know. After Sensei is done, it's going to be Sensei Rob doing live sword to office. And I want to remind you, we have our East Coast representative here, the Polish Prince. Master Dixon Pennsylvania State Representative for the Alliance, but also the Director for our. And we got to the most important thing in the world is very much what is people like this guy. We all need rookies. Now let's talk about rank a little bit. My rank of Hanshi or Soak is an honorary rank. It's not a fighting rank. I think everybody understands what we're talking about. It's honorary. I strongly believe rank from the 5th degree up is what you do for your community, martial arts, and fellow man. I mean, let's face it, literally to be a 5th, 6th, 7th, you have to be in a little older. By older, I mean approaching the 50-year mark and up. So if you think you're going to be as good as you are today, at those ages, you're fooling yourself. So it's honorary, it really is. And you can't be a Soak, and people will disagree with me, which is the head of an organization, or a Hanshi, without a group. That's like having a tire and no car. When you say, oh, I'm a Grand Master, well, how many students do you have? Well, let me see. My wife, oh, where's she at? She left. Oh, well. So these things are very important. And, you know, really the Alliance, and I know it's you know, what the times are, it's really important to join groups like this, because they keep the martial arts straight. They can tell you what's right and what's wrong. They're good people. Now, David, you don't realize, his instructor died, and he took the mantle up to promote the art. So you do the Assaton.
Just wanted to thank Master Castellan first for helping put together Past One. Before we never had college, so he helped me take the techniques that we learned and put them together. Thank you, Mr. Castellan. Messed this up for us. Quick comment. So the first part is passive mistake. The first part is passive. It's someone starting with you, hey, I don't want any trouble. If you have to be the attacker as he comes at you, he's just reaching for him. This first strike is across the bridge of the nose, the eye. And it can work on either side. Cross, bridge of the nose, the eye. It's strike across. That's the first part of that. The other is called It's Out, which is what this is, which can work in pushes or strikes. So the first one. So a push, it's a grabbing a mantis just past the elbow, taking his cheek, bringing him to my cheek. So just a demo of application afterwards. Just to keep this elbow locked here, head down, just to control. Obviously, there's other people.
One more time in the other direction.
This side. This side. So yeah, I want to keep my knee in the back, is it, keep control. Elbow lock here. Obviously, there's other opponents that have to break this and do them. It's a good way. It's not really hurt that. I didn't break anything, but I did confuse the strike on that. At least I gave him a chance. You really want to do this?
Sean, you'll be up after. Where did you see Aikido or sword disarms? If you look at your jiu-jitsu techniques, most of them are actually brought over from katana or the sword. Are you doing all the light play? And very rare, actually, a long time I've seen anybody do any technique into light play. You have two of those in light play, it's a sharp play, double cut. You do each go slow and then you do fast.
Out. So, first one, he's cardio cuts down, he skis in. As he skis in, arm way there,
we're gonna peel, cut, cut, snip. Second one, he's in jaw position. And as he starts to come through, I'm going to shoot through. I'm going to pull the side out, brace it on, throw. Last one is, as he starts to cut down, we're going to come in here. And I'm sure we all realize the more force the attacker comes forward the baton, the farther he's going to go and fast. But do what we want with the scalper one more time. In a different direction. I think a lot of people right.
Sorry, I'm not so again.
He's doing pretty good. He's never used the sword before until this morning. So, come down, coming through, I'm pulling the scabbard through, I'm using this to bar the arm, and there's this one. Push and pull. Next up. Like I said, there's, remember, we all have something to learn from each other. Our favorite Wing Chun application person. How long have you been studying? Excuse me? Yeah.
23 years.
So 23 years to get to Sandan. Something wrong is right.
I have 4-year break in my knees.
Okay.
All right, so what I want to discuss is something that took me away from my old art a lot. Because my old art was a lot of karate or traditional jiu-jitsu application and so forth. And we get too used to holding the arm out. And a guy will throw a straight punch and they hold their arms out and they sit there. We do all these techniques and we work as if the guy is just going to stand there, whatever he's going to do. So what I want to look at is actually how we moved out there the most. What's the predominant thing right now? MMA. MMA, the predominant thing standing up is boxing strikes. So even the common boxing combination we work, we counted out numbers for 1, 2, 3, 2, which is, if you want to show them, it's a jab with a cross, coming with a hook, so you follow back with 2. A basic boxing combination. The way I'm going to counter this is using a Wing Chun application. It's called a Golden Style. If no one's seen Wing Chun before, this looks very, very strange. I keep center line. When Wing Chun moves, I will cross over my body and so forth. Traditionally, from like a big haymaker, when you throw a haymaker, I was usually striking blocks, kind of striking whatever I'm going to do. But what happens is once he throws this tight boxing hook, I can't get my arm in there anymore. So now what? What's my answer? So what we're going to do is we're going to run it like this. My favorite 2 blocks or straights are clock style. So he runs a 1, 2. It's just very simple. 1, 2. His next shot is going to be this front hand hook, which I can't get with this. I'm going to get blocked. But what I can get is this Golden Style application here. Roll over. He comes back here. Here. Well, this is me out. Come over, take it. This is me going to look at the technique. Obviously, the last part of judo influence, Wing Chun on the way in, striking, knee striking method to the fly. So, we have any questions on what I just did there? Pretty much good? Awesome. So, again, just to briefly cover the mechanics of it. 1, 2. He's coming right into my jaw. We're going to lay this in here. Take it back, stun, temple, ear, whatever wonderful target he's giving me. Blow this out. Drag it down. And then I can push it down. Whatever. All right, so one of my favorite things as of recently, I love playing with this retraction idea. Traditionally, you guys know, I don't know how you guys know this lock, or if you know this lock. Some people do. We call it a Muchi Mari. Traditionally, I throw a punch, you go, I'm just going to do Muchi, and we do this whole big thing, da 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 da. But what we're going to play with is he's going to throw a punch, I'm going to follow his retraction back. If I'm going to assume he's taking his hand back, I want to make the stick for 1 second. Sorry. I'm going to make this outside contact. If I think that I'm going to grab this here, I'm out of my damn mind. Or I'm just so amazing that I've transcended that I become a Jedi. So he throws his punch, I follow his traction back, and I come into his body, get the same hands on the side, striking from here. That is the mooch. I'm a breaker. I don't believe in holding somebody and pinning them because if you force me to use a moochie, that's a pretty high up arsenal. I'm taking that thing out. So what I'd like to cover is for the people who don't lock correctly. So if I put him in this lock here, by whatever means I got there, he escapes the pinning right out, moving around. So he's going to lock me up. I'm just going to show you how to counter a situation if he screws up his locking ability. And then I'll show you how to stop the counter so we can have some fun. Come in, he strikes, comes in. As I'd be going to escape the pain out this way, if he fails to stabilize my body, good, do it again. Right here. So what I'm going to do is go into the lock. As I start to escape the pain this way, in one swoop, disrupt the round, capture the song. So here's an idea of how you're going to escape certain situations. If they think they're going to hold you in this lock, the pain is one temporary. The pain is there until his body gets to a point when he escapes, then we're going to be doing this, which I don't want to do. So if you guys do know this lock, I'll show you one of my favorite ways to trap the body. So he comes in, I pop this thing back, strike, come in, loop right through here. Right. Now his body is ready to go. Knee, strike, whatever.
Yep.
Show one of my favorite little escapes with full on choke. And I'll be one satisfied. I'll get one all day and I cast one once. But full on choke is a common scenario. I've seen all sorts of escapes. If a guy's choking like this, which a lot of people do streetwise, you're so damn lucky. Because you have this hip movement. And this hip movement time when you play. When he comes on, cup, grab. See my hips in? Drive an elbow up. Right here, out. Shoulder comes over. Back. Shake down, go. So in a smoother motion, as soon as he grabs on, like this. Very good. That's one of my favorite things. Here's one more cool one. And I'll be talking myself. So do the hammer lock. So if you got any judo players, this is one of my favorite judo applications. You grab him in the hammer lock. Actually, before we do that, who knows what a hakagori is? Or if I know me, he grabs his wrist escapes. Everybody knows his wrist escapes, however we do them. The game changes when I'm locked up. I pull this down, pitch back. Pull a bounces grip. A lot of times bounces, law enforcement even use this type of grips. Not that I'm going to be combating cops, but hey. So I can't do a traditional hako. My striking ability is out the window. I can try to throw a kick, but now I'm risking myself by taking my balance off. So what I'm going to do, grab my own hand, I'm going to sink, break my grip here, go over. So that's a different application for a hakagori. So maybe you can see my hand when that is. He's looking to French me up, start driving me out of here. Split, break the grip here. Step in, hook the shoulder. I like to grab an extra grip. So Kinkai Uchimata from here. Cool. Great.
Thank you. Who's next? I think it's the Woos. Woo brother. Listen. After that,
Hey, anybody?
That's it, we're gonna.
Well, first we're gonna do a kata. Yeah. Excuse me? You're gonna do the kata first, right? Yeah. So first we're gonna perform a kata. It's beginner's kata. So, three nice self-defenses that first one, simple punch to the chest. Grab, punch, lock. At the lock, very simple. Second one, my favorite. Step out of the back. This one, strike to the head. Last one. That was my favorite.
No, I hurt my back and my hip. I sound like an old man.
Were you gonna say that on the street? Oh,
Really nice technique. Push. Step to the side, place it back. Wrist control. Grab. Forward step. Lean in. I use my hands to balance. Lock up. The ankle. Sweep with the hand. Excuse me, with the leg. Straight. Now, to finish, finish the forward lock. Spread the leg. Grab the knee bar.
Again, my name is Rich Dixon. I'm the National Director of the Unified Fighting Arts Federation, SEMBOK. I'm really excited that you guys are all here. I'd like to introduce one of my students, Sensei Emi. She does a lot of the women's self-defense in our area and with our group. She's going to come out. She's going to just demonstrate one of the many self-defense techniques that she does. Oh, two? Okay. All right. Cool. I want to take the moment just to introduce Sensei Rachel to everybody. Sensei Rachel actually developed a special needs program for our organization. Anybody who's interested in bringing that into their school, not only is she a Sandan, in karate and jiu-jitsu and Shodan and Kobu Jitsu. She also has a degree in psychology, and she works with, she did some work with autism, and she's done a lot of work with several different disorders and everything. So this is somebody who not only brings her martial arts expertise into the field, but she also brings the clinical approach as well. So anybody, again, who's interested in that aspect and bringing that into their dojos, she has an entire curriculum, and she's a great support system for anybody bringing that into the dojos. I know that she's always approachable on Facebook and via email. I'm sure that if somebody wanted to start something like that, they can be contacted by phone as well. And definitely come out to set up the program for you. But Sensei, I'm going to take the floor. And of course, everybody knows Sensei May over there. She's my better half, but keeps me all organized.
Okay, one of them I'm going to show is off of a hair pull. Normally we teach people to post to keep them from continuously pulling, but this could be one you're talking and he just can go, I know I don't have hair, but we're going to pretend. And he comes over and just wrenches me down. When he's going to wrench me down, what he's leaving open is here, a lot of things for me to hit. The minute I go down, I want to pop, 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 and then I can go anywhere. The minute I start hitting, I'm going to feel his hand loosen, I'm going to come up, knock it off, and then I can go wherever I want. Okay, so once again, he's going to come over, grab his hands. Okay, another one, someone decides that they want to give you a hug, and then it turns into like some creepy kind of thing. So he's hugging, next you know, hands start moving. So you shove him away. Well, he's going to now grab and pull. Best thing you want to do is accept that pull. Make an acceptance. So when he pulls, bam, pop, right in the throat. Now he's choking. I can go away. Okay? Huh? The hug? And all I'm doing is opening my hand.
Could we do that again with Sensei Dave? Dave? I know you're like throat techniques. You got to hit him a little bit. You got to stop the knee. Throat stretch.
So they hug, the hands start to move. Foot. Boom.
Like that? Did that touch you?
No.
Did it hurt? What? What?
She was on target, so she could control.
There you go. All right. Earlier today, I did my breaking demonstration and seminar. I was talking to you guys about that finger whip, and I promised that I'd show some practical application of that. Sensei Sean? Man, roll out thing that he does. All right. The practical application of that would be a finger whip to the eye socket. You know, the way I look at things, again, you know, not everybody's gonna. 250, holy crap. Okay, my girl's over there, she's 110 pounds soaking wet, you know, with her corrective shoes on. So at 110 pounds, there's no way that she's ever going to be able to hit as hard as he can hit. But that finger whip, it's not a question of, you know, how hard you're hitting, so much as the technique that you use. So that whip coming out here, it only takes like, where's Grandmaster Les? Come on over with his dad. Grandmaster Les. He's got data. So it only takes so many pounds of pressure to actually blow out the eye socket or the orbit of the eye. I forget how many pounds of pressure that is. But I'm sure it's Grandmaster Les. Yeah. Oh, here's my technical question for you. Okay. How many pounds of force does it take to blow out the orbit of the eye socket?
The eye socket? Yeah. It's about 7.5. Why? Here. Okay. With the other side. So
No, I'm wondering how many pounds of force I'm putting out with that finger lift to the board.
Probably the same.
So if I can break a board, I'm pretty sure I can break that little bit of the eye. Now, is everybody here going to be able to do that? No. But I've got this neat. I'm sorry, you don't have what I need. You're not properly equipped. No. All right, so I play this game with my students, and you guys are more than welcome to jump in on this game for a minute. We used to call it Tiger Tag because we have a tiger patch. What I do is I'm going to touch this point on him. And this is a great thing for like teaching people how to spar, especially when people are at first nervous about sparring. They're a little bit scared. You know, you get the girls, you get the kids, you get something. Even you get some guys, they're kind of nervous about sparring. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you, I'm going to hit this patch, all right? And I'm going to just reach out and touch it, okay? Your job is going to be to stop. You're going to block. You're going to block. Okay. All right. So we're going to start off like how would you? What's your fighting stance? Oh, you got a fighting stance, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and reach out and touch that spot. Okay. So I'm going to say go. I'm going to reach out and touch that spot. Go. Okay. I'm going to reach out. I'm going to touch that spot. Okay. Go. Okay. Reach out and touch that spot. Go. 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 Okay. So I'm doing pretty decent, but I'm saying go. All right. So go. I win. Okay, next, here's what we're going to do. We're out on the street. I'm going to touch the spot. There's nothing you can do to stop. Okay? Did you see me play this game? You did? Okay, so you figured it all out? Okay. So, I'm going to touch that spot. There's nothing you can do to stop. You say go. You didn't even say it. Okay, so three times, fourth time he blocked me, but the 3 times that he said go, how many of those 3 times did I touch it? Every single time I touched it. So, 3 out of 3, not bad. Now, again, that's a sparring scenario that he says go, and he knows where I'm going to hit him. So, if we're sparring, anybody here do sparring? Raise your hand if you do sparring. If you guys do sparring or any type of contact drill, then this is an excellent way to kind of hone those skills because it's control, it's speed. There's a little technique because you can say, well, I mean, I'm just reaching out with my fingers, but if you said, oh, if you're only allowed to do a straight punch, you're only allowed to do a vertical punch, you're only allowed to do a chop, and you have to do it right to his neck, and you're saying, I'm going to say go. You're going to say go. And you're getting him every single time. He knows where I'm trying to hit him, okay? Now imagine that we go to spar at a tournament, and you don't know where I'm going to hit you, okay? But our head judge is going to say go. All you have to do is say go. Go. Okay? It's pretty neat how fast your students will get good. So you're going to say go. Okay? I'll play that game all day long. Okay, so anyhow, it's pretty neat how fast you can get your students really, really good at sparring and how dynamic the game is. All right, the next part of the game is you say, okay, well, I can hit you wherever it is that I want. Okay, the next thing is well, wait a second, we don't really do all that much sparring, we're more street self-defense. Well, street self-defense, if I can touch this one spot on you every single time, and you know where I'm trying to hit, I don't have a sign over my head saying the national head of Sembach Unified Fighting Arts Federation, the Pennsylvania State Director, Master, Black Belt. I don't have a sign over my head that says that. So if this guy over here picks a fight with me, he usually looks very violent, standing there with his hair and glasses and everything. He picks a fight with me and he says, I'm going to kick your butt. And he comes over and he pushes me, lays hands on me, goes after my daughter. God bless you, go after my daughter. Or go after my girl, I might just let her go. Okay, there's ego and there's pride. Ego is when I step in, pride is when I let them take care of themselves. I talked about all that stuff. But anyhow, ego and pride, baby. Ego and pride. Ego is, I'm going to deal with this. Pride is, go ahead, baby. Go ahead, baby. So, if everybody wants to stand up and just try this game a little bit, but the practical street fighting scenario is that when he picks a fight with me, he doesn't know where I'm going to hit him either. I'm going to take that eye out, right? Yeah. All right, so everybody get yourselves a partner real quick. And all I want you guys to do is pick a spot on the person. It works better when you got that patch. You say, I'm going to touch this. There's nothing you can do to stop me. And first you tell the person, I'm going to say, I'm going to touch it. Okay? Try and stop me. Go. Ready? Go. Go. Now you're going to tell me what to do. Okay, so, how many times say it again? Almost every time. So, when I come up to that eye socket, it's going to be pretty darn good. Okay, I'm sorry. All right, so. All right, so everybody got it. I let everybody have a chance to do that. I'm going to introduce Grandmaster Les now. Grandmaster Les, he is our East Coast representative. He's going to come on out, share one more thing with you guys, and a couple more things with you guys.
All right, folks, gather around, gather around, gather around.
Yeah. After Les does his
Okay.
thing here, we're going to do a picture.
I can't speak when the living legend speaks, I'm sorry. Big hand for living legend. All right, friends, some of you guys have seen something I haven't seen it. There's a lot of things. There's a lot of different strikes and different movements, but we're going to concentrate on pressure points, and we're going to do a little bit of a joint blocking, what I call dancing. That's track. But, if for argument's sake, if it's a high thrust, then on the lower and crunch. So, first of all, I get off the line. Right here, I don't go too far. No, nice range of motion there. The first thing I want to do is, again, sequence. Right to my shoulder. Why? Because I have to. As I do this, I'm going to hit them right in 5 and 10. This is called multiple strikes. It's a straight out strike. That's a clean strike. So at the same time, I'm going to throw this in. Now it hurts like that. In this position, I'm going to rotate it over. Pressure point right there. Take it out. If I do this fast as you can hold it, definitely response. You say paraplegic. So now, also the application of this would be, let's say somebody pulls a knife against the wall, and it's going to be your throat. It's not for your throat. There's a lot of misconception. People tell you this. People tell you do this. No, because I just cut this. First thing is you want to get the blade away from it. What you do is simultaneously, this time, you look into his first. You have that. And from here, you can take him out. You have total control of it. Okay, so again, one thing you don't do is what? Slice. Or in this fashion, strike forward. So this is the straight linear movement comes off the center as this goes back. At the same time, right to the shoulder. Okay? Worst case scenario, you have a little nick right here. No big deal. Yeah. Got yourself shaving there before? It's nasty. Yeah. Okay, so again, this is called a Gunting strike. It's all different defenses, all different applications to it. The next one is baiting. So let's just, for argument's sake, right here. Here's your license. The first thing we're going to do is feel that? All right, so next, you can do it with a knife or without a knife, okay? What's baiting? Baiting is pretty much an attack, but it's not really a baiting because if he's smart enough, he's going to try to catch you, grab it, and push it away from you. Okay, let's quick. So let's, for argument's sake, it could be a high thrust, could be anything. Let's just say, or a punch. He throws it at the end. First thing I want to do is what? There you go. So the first thing I do is C-clamp, marriage to the skin at all times, C-clamp. Okay, from this position, I want to strike. If he doesn't block it, I achieve my goal, whatever, destination. If he blocks it, he grabs it. That's fine. Bring this in tight. Bring the center in. Knife or not, he's locked up. And it's really quick and really simple. Because I want to utilize the timing and response time immediately. Okay, here's my timing. Here's my response time. Okay? So my timing is in the strike, because what happens is he's going to push it away from his body. Yes, he does. Look at it. He's crossed. Whatever else you want to do. It's up to you. Possibilities are endless. But the next thing I want to get to is dancing pain. This is all joint locking, so utilizing working in attendance or defense and all kinds of things. Remember when you were a little guy? You used to play paddle case? So this is how you want to practice. Remember this? Now again, timing is this. Response time. Here's your standing center line. Okay? Now, I want to utilize the shortest standing. Here's your two-finger line. That's the only way to escape pain. Oh, thank you. Okay? Now, first two-finger line. So I want to make them dance. My next position, I'll put them right in this. That's not enough. I want to rear cross, rotate, throw. Drop, drop. Okay, now here's the elbow lock with the wrist down. Or double it. Bam. Now I push up against this and I push this down. Rotate them over. Show them this location. But that's I'm not over yet because we said this was a drill, right? Make them stand up. And we do it again. Oh, sorry, go down. Okay. So they can go forward again. So we're training on both sides. He also does it. But it's all this. Basically, you just gotta like, you don't think about it. Right there. How can you recognize you got a short step in your body? Which one is the short step? The right finger. So if you ever do this and teach somebody, it's simple. Just put your fingers down. Lift the back, drops. Pretty high. Right. Link it pretty high. These necks, pretty high. My favorite fingers, pretty high. Now ring fingers, okay, so that's how you do it. That's how you do your students and whoever. That's how you know it. It's very nasty. Positioning. We don't have time to explain how to do all that stuff. Some of you guys, I'll see you April 18th. All kinds of stuff. But this is really nasty. So what I want to do is I want to put to his chin. Okay? Or actually go to his shoes. You wearing any? Your shoes on top. Respect. All right, so any questions about this? Now, and a lot of you guys in Pakistan, it's one of the greatest organizations. I'm proud of it, so I'll give yourselves a hand.
First thing I want to mention, this is not a day. You know about dangerous things. This is not where someone else opens their e-top and shows
That's my chest. Keep your hands to yourself.
Maybe I won't get into the wall.
Great job, guys.
Somebody call him.
Now, I want to remind you, Mr. Miller, for the next seminar, there's also the Pittsburgh, got the British third place and
Probably switch right.
Sean, get this picture quick.
Oh no, one is the other side and then this.
Last seminar of the day on this side. Ken Brady's going on that side. Last one going on this side. Great friend, book author. Please pay attention to this. Actually, originally from Los Angeles, California. Moved to Pittsburgh in 1994. Went to art school there. And today we're going to talk to you a little bit about history of our martial arts, of our karate, jiu-jitsu, judo, aikido, hapkido. And we're going to look at the origins of these arts, but also look at the commonality, the universality of them. And I'm going to show you how we have a lot more in common than we do differences. So before we start, let's tell you a little bit about myself. When I was young, I was in foster care. And as I was moving around, I went to a number of great families who cared for me. And one of the families was a Chinese-American family. And their parents, grandparents, spoke very little English. And as I was about 9 years old at the time, I had a natural ability to learn the language. I still do. I still have a great way to learn foreign languages. And so the grandparents started to teach me Chinese because I could do it. Started with things like, you know, do you want ice cream? Okay, and so I started to learn the language. And as I started to learn the language, I started becoming more and more familiar with the family. And so we had a really tight bond, one that still we have today. And when I went to college, I wanted to learn more Chinese. I wanted to start writing and reading Chinese. But when I went to college, the language that I learned was Cantonese. And they only taught Mandarin. And so they said, well, you know, we don't teach Mandarin here, and by the way, you're never going to talk that garbage in our class. I'm like, all right, you just called my language garbage, so I'm not going to come back to your class. And I went next door, and it was a Japanese class. And so I enrolled. And my original intent of enrolling in Japanese was to learn how to read and write. But as time went on, I became proficient at it. Went abroad, studied at a university in Japan for a year. Studied with his family, ended up working for a Japanese company for 12 years. So my Japanese got really good. And introduced to, when I was young, I was introduced to martial arts. That's where my host family is. So I come from a point of view of Chinese put into a Japanese environment and learning these things. And as I started to grow and started to think about origins and all, I met with Dr. Thompson, and we talked about maybe doing a thesis on origins of Bushido, of modern martial arts. And I did. And after my thesis was submitted, a book publisher came up and said, "Yeah, we love what you did, and we want to make a book out of it." So that became this book, which is the Bushido, the modern application of the ancient Bushido codes. And then that, of course, followed up with book number 2,
which was the IP way. Continue to talk about the commonality of all of our systems and all of our arts and how we find that they come from a similar source. And now I'm working on book number 3, 4 chapters in, which is going to further elaborate, and actually you guys are lucky because you're going to get to hear some of that new material. Now, a lot of this is a bit historical, but I'm going to put it into a context that I think that I enjoy, and I think hopefully you guys will like it too. All right, so when we think about our arts, we think, well, you know, our arts came from the samurais. Okay, so that's our common conception. That's not wrong. You know, that's pretty right. Here's a picture of a real samurai, all decked out and pretty fierce, right? If you saw him running across the room with a sword in his hand, yeah, I think I'd have an accident. So, and when we think about samurais, one man in particular comes in, especially for the jiu-jitsu people, and the aikido and the aikijitsu, and even hapkido, and that's this gentleman right here, Sokaku Takeda. And he's famous because, one, he actually is royalty. He has royal blood in his veins. But number 2 is that he was one of those samurais that actually survived the Meiji samurai battle. That was a real life thing. You saw the, okay, who all knows who the most famous samurai is? Tom Cruise. So, everybody seen the movie, Tom Cruise, The Last Samurai? Well, that was based, that battle at the end, that was actually a real event. And he was on his way from Osaka to join the battle, to fight for the samurais. But he was too late. He didn't make it in time. The battle was over. Because he was royalty, he was able to, the emperor moved all the samurais up north for the most part, and put him up north. And that's where he moved up north. And so he started to teach his art, which became foundations of Aikido, Aikijitsu, Hapkido. Okay? But when we think about, I bring him up for a reason, is because you know that his name is Takeda. But he had a name before that. So, his name was Takeda, but he had a name before that. About 3 generations to his grandfather, his last name was Minamoto. And Minamoto were descendants of the emperor. Okay, I'm going to tell you who that is in just a couple minutes. Minamoto means flourishing, origin of the spring, okay? Origin of the source. Origin from source, and you're going to see why that's important. All right, so as we look at Takeda, we know that he's actually from a royal family, the Minamoto clan. And his name was changed for various reasons going down. But now we're taking a look at Minamoto. We want to see, okay, well, what's going on? Back at about 660 BC. I'm sorry, AD. In 660 AD, we had Japan. Okay, this is terribly wrong. Kyushu, Shikoku. And over here, we have Korea. And so forgive me for my terrible drawing. Now, in 660 AD, there were 3 kingdoms in Korea. There were the Bakje, who were here. There were the Shiba, who were down here. And then we have, and I can never not pronounce, Godo, who were up in here. In Japan, at that time in 660, we had Empress Saimei. She was Empress Saimei. Okay? And she had established great relations with the Bakje dynasty, and there's a reason. In the early 100 AD to 200 AD, the Bakje came up with something fundamentally changing in the world of warfare. And what they did was they started to rank and grade cadets. No one else had done this in the world. They called it Samura, 3 cadet level. You started off as an infantryman. Then you learned. You gained weapon expertise. then you learned, you came up and you got to the Samran. When you got to Samran, you were called a Musa. Okay? The characters for Musa are the same characters in Bushi. Okay? So they were the samurai, the Korean samurai. And the Bakche in Japan and Emperor Saimei had a wonderful relationship back and forth. Now, the Shilla kingdom was really jealous of this, hated it. Okay? So they went over, here to the Tang Dynasty and they said, guys, let's team up. Tang Dynasty, you come from the north, send us some soldiers, we'll come from the south, and we'll defeat this guy and we'll own Korea. Okay? And the Tang Dynasty said, you guys, that sounds like a plan. So that's what they did. And eventually, Bakche, even with the Japanese support, lost the battle. And we had thousands and thousands of Bakche refugees flooding into Japan, bringing with them their ideas of Samran, the three cadets, bringing with them advanced literature, advanced technologies. When we look at it, we'll talk about the sword in just a minute. Bakche did so much to help bring Japan up to the next level. It's amazing. And in my new book that I'm writing, I'm listing all these great things out. But in summary, the main thing that they did was that they brought over not only their royalty, but they brought over technology, and they brought over their system of thinking of grading cadets, the Musa. It's no coincidence, by the way, that this happened in 660. That it wasn't until the early 700s where we first start to see in Japanese literature mention of samurai. No, there's no coincidence about that. It was Bakche bringing it in and adopted. Now, Emperor Saimei had a son. His name was Tenji. He married one of the Bakche princesses. Okay, so their sons and grandsons had Korean royalty in their blood. Okay, now the reason I'm going down this road is because I want to point out that we finally get in 3 generations down Emperor Seiwa. And Emperor Seiwa was a ladies' man. And he had lots and lots of children. And he had so many children, he lost count. And so he started calling them Minamoto from the source, from me. so all these children got the name Minamoto. And as we look down the road, we finally get to Takeda, who is part of the Minamoto origins. So now we start to see a lineage starting to build here. Okay, starting from Korea into Japan and down, and now we've got Soka Takeda. And he was a real live samurai. He trained since he was a kid. He knew everything. He was a terrific swordsman and fierce fighter. And his family had developed some fighting arts with and without the sword. Now, this is a katana. Okay? In fact, this is Master Castellan's katana. This katana has, like all real katanas, has a history, it has a story. Thank you, sir. I'm honored. What I should do is I should ask him 3 times if I may hold this sword. He'll deny me 3 times. And then after that, I'll be allowed to. Did I ask for 3 times? No, sir? Just took it. Typical. So, but when we look at the katana, okay, the katana, did the Japanese know how to make swords before the Bakche did? Yes, they did. But what did the Bakche bring that the Japanese didn't know? The Bakche brought with them the technology of mixing iron ore to make the steel pure. And Japanese are so lucky because they have iron ore on their island that's found nowhere else in the world that they're able to mix with raw iron ore, and that takes out 99% of the impurities in the steel. Today's modern steel factories, guess what their percentage is? 99% pure. So the Japanese back in these days, we're making steel as good as we can make steel today. That's pretty exceptional, right? And that's why the Japanese swords became so famous, because they were so strong. Now, Japanese swords are unique in another way. Okay, we got this bit tied up, so I'm not going to be able to draw it all the way. But the Japanese sword have a sharp and a blunt. Okay? We have a blunt side and a sharp side. Okay? The sharp side is death-giving sword, is the literal translation. Top side, life-giving sword. The sword has two purposes. It can kill you or it can spare you. One or the other. This is not found in other cultures. European longswords have two sharp edges, two death sides, right? The Japanese sword has life and death, which means that you can use this to kill someone, or you can use it to give them life and spare them. And that's actually, we're going to talk about this tonight here in a few minutes. Now, Takeda his family had a whole system of techniques, jutsu. That means techniques. And it was based on the sword. Now, we're going to go ahead and we're going to do a couple things based on the sword, but with open hand. We're going to see, though, that these techniques that we do, open hand, can usually be traced back to dealing with somebody with a sword. So, if I could have, I would like to call on Mr. Joe. If he's here. Is he Joe? What's your son? All right, so thank you very much for helping. He does not know what's happening. So, it's all good. Now, I've got a little stick here. We're going to use this as a sword. And first thing I'm going to do, so here you go, sir. First thing I'm going to do is, this sword's in his sheath, right? I don't want that sword out, correct? That's the very first thing is, if he draws that sword, I'm in trouble, right? Getting stabbed and getting cut, right? That thing's razor sharp. I don't want to have anything to do with it. So I come up and I want to stop him. I want to stop him from drawing this sword. Now, there's a technique that we can do. We take his hand, we can drive it in, like that. Okay, that's with the sheath. Good. The same thing is an open hand technique, which we've learned. Actually, Grandmaster Les showed this. It's called the Z-lock, S-lock, Nikyo for the Aikido people. Okay, and that's where we take the wrist and the elbow like this, and we pressure. And this comes from stopping someone coming up with their sword. Okay, so this technique can be an open hand. It could be like if he grabs, I can come in, drive it down, right? Or maybe he grabs me here and drive him in this way, right? You do a number of different ways of getting the Z-lock, but the thing is that we want it to be Z, okay? Like this. So if you guys would like, we could get together with some partners and we can practice. When we do the Z-lock, what we're going to do is we're just going to take the grip. We're going to come cross hand onto the pinky. We're going to dig our fingers into the meat behind the knee, this part right here. Okay, so we're going to come across and dig our three fingers. Now, notice that I have this guy up like that. There's a reason. When you do a handshake, right, and you do like that, where's all your power? Right in here. If you hold a baseball bat, where's all your power? Right in here, right? But if you grip with the bottom three and you exclude these, you actually can get a more tighter, firmer grip. Okay? And do a little demonstration to prove it. All right, sir. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to grab your gi. And I'm going to grab it with normal grip like this. Okay? My power right now is in my two fingers and my two thumbs. Okay? Now, I want you to stay solid as a tree. Don't let me pull you. Okay? So I'm going to try to pull you forward. One more time. Okay. Good. Now I'm going to grip like this. By doing this, actually, Grandmaster Les would actually be better at this. We're changing what power is being gripped from your arm. By grabbing like this. Okay. Now, are you ready, sir? Okay. It actually did a little less strength than I did before. Grip is everything. Okay, so, yes, you can do that with your friends. Right? Cross arm grip. Reach across. Pull so that his palm is up. Then, lock it into a Z by pushing, supporting here, and then just turn a little bit, and then the person should feel it. Okay? Now, pain is good. Pain is good. Injury bad. We just want to feel this a little bit. Okay? So, with our partners, let's get up, and then we'll find somebody. We'll do this just for a couple minutes, and then we'll continue on. Excellent. Thank you very much.
All right.
Who's done it outside? Who's done it outside? Either that or...
All that soda's coming out. It's a lot.
Okay, good. Good. That's good. So it looks like everybody's got it. If you don't think to see again, it's good to stretch your legs. You know, the techniques that we're showing, probably that's already known. If not, you can work on that again. But let's continue on with our discussions. Now, we were talking about butt change. Down south in the Sheila Kingdom, they also had something going on which was very similar to the cadets, and that was the Farang. The Farang warriors. The difference between the Bakche, the Samrak, and the Farang were the Farang were from the nobility class. And they incorporated the arts. Again, we start to see that later in the set. Okay. Now, the question was posed. The question that was asked was, why do the samurai always wear their swords on the right side? Okay. And the answer is pretty easy, right? Oh, I'm sorry, on the left side, and they draw with the right. So why is it that they're always having the swords here? Well, the answer is easy, because there are no left-handed samurai. The Japanese are very conformistic. They have to have everything be the same, down to the last detail. And so, even if a samurai was left-handed, he would, for any type of ornament, even going to see the shogun, or always have a sword here. But if there ever was danger and he had a battle, he would put it on his left. You'll find pictures with them on the left. Even with the photos changed around, they will have it. The left-handers will do that for battle purposes. But for all other types of ceremony, whatever, they put it on the right side. And they would be proficient drawing both. The way you can tell who lefty is when they hold the sword. Okay, when they're holding the sword, which hand was up. So you can tell that who the left is. So that's actually fun. I love doing that with pictures. Okay. So the guy asked the questions. Oh, there he is. Okay. Okay. So, all right. Well, we'll move on. The next thing we want to do is when an attack comes in, and we are able to defend it, or let's say we have the sword and we don't want to kill the person who's attacking us, maybe because that person might be a valuable prisoner. Okay? Okay? So now we're going to utilize life-giving sword. Life-giving sword now, if this was drawn, would be this part. And we could use this to do a lot of different things. One of my favorite techniques is actually what is being used by police with batons, and that is coming up and getting into the hammer lock and taking somebody down. Exact same thing with this. There is a difference. When you have somebody on the ground, then you need to stop. You want a prisoner. And that's where the rope comes in. Typically on a sword, a rope, and you've seen swords that have very ornate rope decorations on these. They are all designed to be pulled and to come out as one string. So as I take the person down, and I've got the person on the ground, maybe in a hammer lock, I take the string out of my sword. For my purposes, this will be this. Take it around, tie his arm, up around his head, grab, and pull him up. And now, all I got to do is put a little bit of tightening pressure on here. He's like that, getting choked and getting his arm cranked. The art, as this is called Hojo Jutsu. It's actually a book that I enjoy very much. Hojo Jutsu. It's not an art. It's so that it's not like something you get to black over. But it is something that you can study and become proficient at. Interestingly enough, today, both in Japan and Korea, police use Hojo Jutsu to tie their suspects up. And each area of Japan and Korea has different tying techniques, and the big secret, they still maintain it. For outsiders, even Japanese outsiders, to find those techniques is very hard. They really guard them even today. So, some interesting things. Now, let's get back to our history. We know that Master Takeda up in north is teaching his arts. But we have way down south, a little island called Okinawa. Okay? Not part of the Japanese mainland. Okay? They were their own kingdom for a long time. And we know that a lot of the karate, Shotokan, Wado-ju, Goju-ju, all these styles come out of Okinawa. When we think of Okinawa, we don't typically think of samurais. We don't think of them having that type of classic. But there were. Master Matsumura, Funikoshi's teacher, as well as many others, was a royal bodyguard. He was the top man in his day. He learned a kata from the Chinese called Basai Dai. Basai kata is the oldest known recorded kata in the world. They found a tapestry in China with the movements of the Basai kata. This kata was used to defend and fight against someone with the sword, either them holding the sword or you holding the sword and somebody grabbing you. And the movements in this kata reflect that. Now today, when we do the kata, okay, we're here, march out, do our moves, and we think about one-on-one fighting. But when you start to extrapolate, and think about what about having a sword? Somebody had a sword in their hand. How can we do this? How can we make this work? It actually gets to be very interesting and very fascinating. I'd like to demonstrate one thing. And I'll need a volunteer. All right. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and give you my mini sword, my tanto. And what we're going to do is we're going to do a defense against a 12 to 6, 11, 1 to 7 cut coming from overhead. Now, when he does this, I could do the Rocky Balboa defense. Okay, here's my head. Maybe I'll tell you one time. Okay, I'm like Rocky. I can't take it more than one. We're going to drive in, and we're going to stop him with an X block. Okay. Now, as he comes in, I drive. Boom. Hit with the X block. You can do a closed hand as well. Okay. I like the X block. Now, from here, I take this bottom hand and I push it up. Okay. Okay? And then as I do, I pull. Okay? Gets him off balance. Slide my hand down, and I take the swords. Now, from here, I grab and do the grip, turning this way, stepping forward, go back up just a little bit, back up forward. Good. Chop to the knee, and then with my blade, cut. Move to the next person. Okay? So, what does that look like?
Right when we first came.
Yes. Yes. We come in, we block, which go wrong way. Block, go back, straight. Yes, right out of the collar. So, again, comes in, strike. Bottom hand, push up. Okay? Step back, do a pull, do a lock balance. Take the sword, take the hand, turn. Okay? As he's turned, come in, low kick, and here comes that bridge hand, right? Boom. And I'm right here ready to face the next person as he's done. So, without a weapon, we can practice that. Simply, if you would give me a yoke-giddy, just a one-hand yoke-giddy, we go through the same thing. Come in, grab, give him a pull, and then we can practice this, block, and then we want to do a throw first. Okay, so would you guys try to practice that real quick, and then we'll move on? Okay, very good. So thank you very much.
No, it's nice. It's like it's strange, but it's like this. I mean, I guess what I was against is still shaping of these hard work. Yeah, hard work. That corresponds to and you could keep that Okay, good, very good. All right, so coming back in, and this will be the end part, the last part. So you see how not only do we have the made in Japan, but also the Okinawa techniques that are being used. Now, going back to Master Takeda, okay? He trained some very famous people. We know Ueshiba, Master Ueshiba by Aikido, right? But there's also another person who trained him. His family took in a Korean during the Japanese occupation named Che Yong-sol. And Che Yong-sol was a servant to the family, kind of like a footman, okay? And he trained with Master Takeda. Now, not officially. You'll never find him on the walls, okay, because he was part of the employees. And we know that he was an employee because we find that on the tax records of the Takeda family. But he learned the Daitoju Aikijutsu from the Takeda family. After the war, when Takeda died, Master Che, decided to return to Korea. And when he did, he returned back to his homeland. And one day, he was getting some grain, and a fight broke out. And he decimated the people. There's a man who's been training since he was a kid with Master Takeda. And when he was back in Korea, at this brewery, he was getting some free grain. The fight broke out, and he leveled everyone down and out. And the owner of the brewery looked out the window and went, "Oh, God, who is that guy?" And the brewery owner, he was a judo master himself. He said, "Come in," and they set up a little dojang, and they started to train. One of Che's first students was this man, Jihan Jae, who you may know from the movie Game of Death with Bruce Lee. He's the one with the gold belt, much younger. He trained under Che, and he learned the Aikijutsu techniques. But he also had two other instructors, and he learned from them other different techniques, kicking, military items. And Jihan Jae then created what we know today as Aikido. And now we got a full circle of history. We start way back in the 600s when the Bakje imported their technology and their ideas. We had that being cultivated and lived in Japan. And then finally a Korean boy was brought over who learned these things and these arts, came back to Korea and started the art of Hapkido when he trained Dojin and Jihan Jae. So really cool stuff. And we all went back. Now, we actually have today in our presence, and Dojin and Jihan Jae is the last living Tier 1 martial artist in the world today. As far as, when I say Tier 1, that means like all the main martial arts group, the founders, he's the last surviving founder. And he has passed on the reins of Aikido to an American, which is something that's unheard of. You know, in Aikido, it's Ueshiba's grandson right now who's in charge, right? He's passed on the reins to Aikido to an American. And that person actually is in this room right now. And that's Grandmaster Ken McKenzie. So that's a bit of history with us. I would like to urge, one of the things that when you train with someone like Jihan Jae, is that you're getting what it was like to train with someone from back then. You know, to get your hands, that's the closest you'll ever get in training with Takeda. Because we go Takeda to Che to Ji. And you can actually get a real feel of what it was like. I got to tell you it was about 10 years ago when I did my first seminar in Aikido. And when I saw Dojin up there teaching, you know, I've lived in Japan, I've been there a long, long time. I know, and when I saw him do the things he did, it was just like a big ball. Just boom, like that. Holy cow, I'm watching history right here. This is real stuff. And I couldn't get enough. And I started writing notes. And I started, this is going absolutely nuts. So I would encourage you guys, every year there's a summit. It's held in New Jersey near Philadelphia, Cherry Hill area, is that right? And please go if you can. It's really wonderful. And try to get with the last living, one of
the last living instructors of the bygone era. So, any questions from anyone? Yes, sir.
I just wanted to make mention of the aspect that you, when you were speaking of the iron ore that exists in both Korea and Japan that's similar. And the only other location in the world where it's found is in the Kennemack Peninsula of Michigan. And it's called austenitic dendritic iron ore. And the characteristic of it that makes it unique is that when it forms in the ground, it actually grows as a crystal of iron, which only occurs with two other alloying materials, both of which are copper alloy bases. And because the poles of the atoms are always arranged north to south like on a magnet, it's what's known as electrophoritic. And that is what allows the ions of the iron, when struck malleably and folded over each other, to retain a north-south polar alignment, making the grain boundaries of the metal knit together in a much, much tighter
I'm going to
spot.
be giving you an email so we can talk more about that, because I love that. That's good stuff. Good stuff. One thing I wanted to ask, who knows what this is called? What is this sword called? Katana. Who thinks that's a Japanese word? Who knows what language katana is from?
I thought it was Japanese.
Katana is actually from the Portuguese. When the Portuguese came to Japan and they saw the Japanese holding these long swords, they said katana or machete. Anybody Portuguese in here? No?
I know a little bit.
Okay,
Wow.
so machete is what they called it, and it stuck. In Japanese, this is actually called daito. Daito, big sword. Big sword. I want to ask you guys something. Master Takeda's art was called Daito Ryu Aikijutsu, right? Because I'm writing in English, we can't see the characters. If I write the characters, you know there's a difference. But it's a wordplay. Japanese love wordplay. So, Daito, this is basically, it means an eastern stream, the way of the eastern stream, not the way of the big sword. But when you hear it without the characters, what do you think? Way of the big sword. So they play word games like that. That's pretty cool. So, all right, any other questions?
How long did you spend in Japan?
How long? I was there 1 year as a university student, and then roughly 12 years working for a company, Tokyo. And I worked back and forth between there and LA.
From Yongo
Hey, question. After they was questions.
Sir,
Yes, sir.
did you get picked on because you were white Caucasian, or did they think that was really cool?
In LA?
In Japan.
My foster family, we lived in a Chinese community, and so I was the only white guy there. And so, yeah, there was a lot of times when that didn't go well for me. And also, it was really bad for the family, because a lot of the kids would say, oh, your mother's same mother, different father type of bad jokes. But when I was in Japan, one of the things when I was there was the Japanese are kind of obsessed with purity of their blood, and they don't want to have impurity in their blood. And it's like, well, that's so ridiculous. When you think about it, it's so ridiculous, the concept. But the older people are thinking like that. And so one time in particular, I went to a temple where you get a scoop of water and you drink the water from the well, and they banned me from doing it. Wow.
Wow.
Yes, sir.
We talked about before with Korean, the sort of, so thank you for talking about that. But where does Wyandotte fall within the history, if you know where does Wyandotte?
Yeah, it started in the Shiva Kingdom. It actually started parallel with Bakje and Samra. They both kind of emulated each other. You're living in these areas are so close that as technology progresses, others imitate. And the main difference between the Hwarangdo and the Samra were that Hwarangdo were from the nobility, the noble classes, and they also incorporated art, so painting and things like that.
That you said, like, discussions I had with my brother in the higher ranks, is they learn art, they learn actually healing.
Healing, yes, well, I didn't touch on that. That's Aikido has a whole section on healing techniques that are only given to high level Aikido practitioners, which comes from number of different areas. But yes, there's a whole healing, yes, it's a whole different subject.
So, what happens to learning how to destroy it and then also learning how to heal? So,
once the the emphasis on life-giving sword became much more prevalent after the Meiji government defeated the samurai, and emphasis started to go on life-giving sword instead of death-giving sword, which is where you get the. That's why a lot of the techniques that we do now are not lethal techniques. There still are. We still have lethal techniques. We still have the over the top break the neck throw, etc. You can do with the Hojujutsu, for example. But more and more emphasis since that time has been on life-giving techniques, life-saving techniques instead of death-dealing. Yeah, that's a great question. That starts to dive into the whole Aiki philosophy, the Aiki Hapki philosophy of, what are we doing with this energy? Is it helping the world, or is it being negative to the world? Ueshiba, Murie Ueshiba of Aikido, he dwelled on that constantly and wanted Aikido to be something that would be beneficial to the world, because it's about life and letting everybody have a prosperous and full life. So, does that answer your question?
I think it opened up a lot of other questions. But that's my own journey. Thanks.
There's unlimited amount of material.
Right.
Yeah.
Master, when you were in Japan, did you have opportunity to see any of the practice of falconry that was part of the samurai tradition? They hunted with the scimitar hawks.
I did not. I wish I did. I did not. That would have been really great to see.
Sounds like you had a great experience.
Yes, it was. Okay. Well, thank you very much. I do have some books available tonight. I do have some magazines. You may want to get the magazine from Grandmaster to sign for you. And, thank you all very much. Appreciate it.
If I may say, I don't have any stakes in the books. And they have Japanese names, and I teach Korean martial arts, and politically, those two countries haven't always been in love with each other. But he's bravely gone where no man's gone before. He's actually found the truth and shown how so much of it did mix, and we just had an hour demonstration of that, which it was hard to capsulize in an hour, sure. But when I read the books, and I was fortunate enough to actually have read the books before they were published, and I was so impressed. They're now compulsory reading for my black belts at my school to continue with grade levels, that I want them to get this kind of a history lesson, because so much history is opinion, and this isn't opinion. This is actually research. Yeah.
Sensei knows how to get me quiet. I'm going to go change the shoes.
He actually just signed in front of the dojo one time. He signed up.
Thank you very much. He's just very direct. Afterwards,
Okay. Yes.
A lot of wind up there, so we didn't bother getting a hotel. We just changed it. In our library. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. I'm glad you thought about that. Nice to meet you too. I'll tell you what, you mentioned that about New York. That was something that one guy that I worked with from down in Reading.
Yes, they are.
I mean, small world. They grow. I mean, the billions of yes.
I'm just going to go move some cinder blocks for
Need help?
I think I might need one.
So again, once in a while, get on the kindness, but you know, like you said, something for something.
That's a good idea.